On the other hand, fool people with his strategy, staying close to the hard-punching Barry McGuigan rather than run, and he backed up the champion. And Azuma opening up with the combination. Nelson told us yesterday that he would like a fast knockout as a message to Barry McGuigan. Down the road, that would be a very attractive fight. Azuma Nelson and Barry McGuigan in a unification bout. That is if Azuma gets by Danilo Cabrera.
Danilo Cabrera is fighting at the very outset of this, completely different from what he said and his corner said. He said they wanted to go right to him, and right now he's turned into an unaccustomed role for him, which is to backpedal and box. Not a wonderful strategy when you're not used to doing it.
What about the size of this ring? It is huge.
It's 22 by 24, and it is huge. It looks like the lobby of Madison Square Garden. Azuma beginning to find the range of short, chopping right hand. Cabrera holding his gloves way up high, and he's fighting scared. He's fighting tentative here. It's not the same kid that went in with Barry McGuigan. Cabrera's got to do. He's got to throw a few punches to get himself feeling that he can punch hard and with impunity.
Less than a minute left. This is round one. And now Cabrera backpedaling.
To get some of those first-round jitters out of the way. That tenseness that he had that rendered him incapable of fighting back all of a sudden is disappearing as he's starting to land some punches. Azuma just letting him throw this. It's not landing on anything but elbows and gloves. Azuma's got him cornered. Danilo's got to know how to get out of there.
The end of this opening round. We'll be back in a moment. Round two. Azuma Nelson on the right, Danilo Cabrera on the left. Nelson, the first African to win the featherweight title since Hogan Kid Massey of Nigeria did it in 1957. At the end of the first round, some intimidating attempts by Danilo Cabrera, who had some words for Azuma Nelson, and Nelson just laughed it off.
Mainly because he can't understand Spanish. Azuma Nelson's just so wound up like a spring. When he throws such hard punches. Cabrera's flailing away there, but he's hitting mostly the gloves of the champion Azuma Nelson. See, all of that was gloves. More gloves. And a couple of hot dog moves by Nelson. Nelson very confident, has the gloves down. Nelson's giving absolutely no respect to Cabrera. He just looks like the issue's not in doubt. It's just when he wants to pull the plug. Cabrera is not fighting with the brio and with the flash that he had against Barry McGuigan. Combination of tempted by Nelson. He has a right hand cocked, and he usually throws a slashing right hand. beginning to warm up to the task, although he must feel frustrated just hitting those gloves. The impenetrable defense of Azuma Nelson, something to see in these first 2 rounds. You just don't hit anything but elbows and gloves.
Cabrera on the bicycle and backpedaling. Nelson said the other day he would like to knock out Cabrera before the 7th round.
This is a fighter with a mission in his mind. He just wants Barry McGuigan. That's all he can think about.
So an Edwin Rosario controversial fight took place at Madison Square Garden in New York, and Ferdy and I will be joined by the third man of the ring, Arthur Mercanti. Your Arthur's comments. That'll be coming up later here on Sports World. Up here in the 3rd round.
A little blood from the mouth of Cabrera. He might have a cut lip that's on the outside here.
Up on the midway point, round 3. Azuma Nelson waiting for his spot. And Nelson slipping the punches of Cabrera.
Cabrera getting down to business. He's playing a dangerous game. He's playing blow by blow, and he's matching Azuma Nelson, but neither one have damaged each other. There's been precious little to do for the referee. No clinches, no dirty fighting. Everything has been straight up and down.
In contrast to what we saw in the Rosario Camacho bout, and Arthur Mercanti is under fire. We'll be chatting about that during the course of the fight that will follow. Good right hand by Cabrera. And Nelson looking to get down to business with that choppy right hand.
Well, that really turned on Azuma Nelson. Another good right hand by Cabrera on Nelson.
By Nelson. Final seconds, 3rd round. Out for round number 4. Azuma Nelson, the WBC featherweight champion, defending his crown for the 4th time. Right hand by Cabrera getting in. And again, Nelson with the hands down. Very casual.
He's taking this fight for granted, and shouldn't do that because he's starting to get hammered by Cabrera. Twice in the last round, he landed very clean right hands, and twice as this round progresses, he's landed 2 already.
Cabrera on his toes, circling, a lot of movement. Looking to pick away, and Nelson stalks. Left uppercut by Cabrera that grazed Nelson.
Cabrera is throwing 2 and 3 punches at a time. The champion disdainfully catching him and just throwing 1 punch back.
your scorecard showing?
It is a shutout, quite unofficially, for Zuma Nelson, 30-27. He's won every round. How can you give a round to Danilo Cabrera when he's running as fast backwards as he does forward?
And Cabrera caught Nelson.
And Nelson nailed him with a good right hand that drove him back into the ropes. Once again, Cabrera's fighting scared.
Under a minute left, fourth round. The action picking up in the third. And the strategy remains the same as Cabrera circles and backpedals and then moves in. Left hand by Nelson.
Look at the way the champion just walked after him. It's like a walk in the park. He's just walking right after the other guy's running as fast as he can backwards.
Final seconds, fourth round. At the age of 9 in his native Ghana, represented his country in international competition. He was 50-2 as an amateur and began his professional career in December of 1979. And Emil Cabrera from the Dominican Republic learned to fight on the tough streets of the Dominican, grew up in a small town by the name of Esperanza.
Cabrera out of immediate danger, but it's exhausting him. And in this heat, with this humidity, he can't keep it up, and he's running on the outside. He's running miles more than that is Nelson, who just patiently walks after him.
Temperature here in San Juan at 86 degrees, very hot and humid. It did rain earlier. Plus, we have the television lights on overhead. Exchange.
Look at the smile on the Zuma Nelson's face. He loves it.
Combination by Nelson. Nelson says, come on.
And why wouldn't he? He's doing all the damage.
To go, fifth round, no knockdowns to this point. The action picked up in the third, and now Nelson appears to be getting down to serious business. Repeatedly landing combinations against the backpedaling Cabrera.
3 straight uppercuts by Zuma Nelson. And it's beginning to look like a difference in the quality of boxers. Whereas he looked like he was McGuigan's quality boxer and equal, he looks far inferior to Zuma Nelson in quality.
And a mouse under the right eye of Cabrera.
Trickle of blood coming from that mouth. He's been bleeding from the mouth.
Good finish. That's That's it for round 5. 6. Cabrera slow to come out of his corner, and Nelson went right to the corner.
Well, championship runners need their rest between track meets.
Zuma Nelson taking charge the last couple of rounds.
Bear in mind, he's on a mission. He wants wants to get this guy out. He said by the 7th round he wants to make Barry McGuigan look bad, and right now pitching a shutout. The last round, it appeared that he was just now getting to Cabrera to turn off the lights when the bell sounded.
Of course, that is boxing logic, or that of Azuma Nelson, and that Cabrera lasted through 14 and hung in and looked tough against McGuigan. Nelson would like to take Cabrera out early and say, hey, look what I did against the common opponent.
Well, already against the common opponent, he looks far superior in comparison. He is totally in command of this fight from the opening bell. He is walking forward with a man with no regard whatsoever for the guy in front of him, with a great deal of patience. It's almost a dance here.
And a pretty two-step by Azuma Nelson. Roundhouse right. Taking the photo punch and then goes with the left. Does Azuma Nelson.
The only kind of surprising thing is Azuma hasn't gone to the body as much as he usually does, which would cut the leg of Cabrera. Although I believe in this heat, he will do that by himself. By running that much, he's already slowing down. He is just won't be able to walk after a while.
There's a slashing right hand by Nelson.
Set up by two beautiful little hooks.
Coming up later here on Sports World, another look at Hector Camacho defending his WBC lightweight crown against Edwin Rosario, battle of two native Puerto Ricans. And an interesting bout last week at the Garden. Interesting looks from Azuma Nelson.
Azuma has been enjoying himself. He came back from that last round virtually laughing into the corner. Look at the way he walked up. Can you remember anybody doing that in the last 10 or 15 years? Just as Joe Walcott used to walk all over the place, but usually away from the fighter, not to walk.
Final seconds, 6th round.
On this afternoon.
27-year-old Azuma Nelson out of Ghana, record of 23-1, 17 by knockout. His last fight in February, won by majority decision over Marcus Villasana back in October of '85, and about telecast here on NBC. He stopped Pat Caldell in 1 over in Great Britain. And Cabrera with combinations looking to step it up. And again, backpedaling.
Azuma's just timing. This guy's run, stop, three-punch combination, run, stop, three-punch, and Azuma's just catching everything on his elbows and gloves, but every once in a while, he leads just as the other guy is going. One of those will land flush.
Is picking up his pace. He's walking faster.
And Cabrera is beginning to drag his feet. They're no longer bouncing like they were. They're sort of dragging him around.
Halfway through the 7th. Nelson after Cabrera just laughed off that combination along the ropes.
Well, this will answer the age-old question: can a man walking fast catch a man running fast backwards? There goes the right hand. It is. should be pressing more. If Nelson wanted to knock this guy in the 7th round, he had the opportunity just then. He should have kept him in the corner pressing.
Combination by Cabrera. Nelson is smiling, but he got hit. And hard. Bob Albert and the fight doctor, Bertie Pacheco. Later will be joined by referee Arthur Mercanti, who was man who handled the Hector Macho Camacho Edwin Rosario lightweight title bout last week at Madison Square Garden, New York. And we'll be playing back that bout. That'll be following this WBC featherweight title bout. Combination had no effect at all. Halfway mark, 8th round. That was a stumble. And Nelson could not take advantage.
Those are the punches to the body that are going to slow up Danilo. Those are the punches that are going to slow up Danilo Cabrera. That's what he hasn't been doing. He's starting to get down to business now. Zuma Nelson's thinking knockout, but Cabrera's coming back. Defending his WBC featherweight crown against Danilo Cabrera, who was labeled Mr. Nobody going into the Barry McGuigan bout last February and fared well. He's had a tougher time here against Zuma Nelson, but he has hung in. That last round was a good round. A good round for both fighters, but the overwhelming edge went to Zuma because he had Cabrera in trouble right at the bell. He's very wobbly. He had given everything he could, and he had nothing left. He was saved by the bell, went back to the corner. The corner said, "You're winning. All you have to do is 2 punches, grab him, 2 punches, and grab him."
That's the cut on the eye of Danilo Cabrera.
His motion is no longer fluid. It's now sort of a jinky, incoordinate motion. He doesn't have fluidity and smoothness before. And why should he? He's fought very hard and been hammered by Zuma Nelson. And with this enormous ring, certainly there is much running room for Danilo Cabrera. his punches now, does Danilo Cabrera, but the relentless Azuma Nelson does, and he's after him again.
He's had Cabrera lined up in the corner on several occasions, but has not been able to land with that powerful right.
Azuma is very economic when it comes to his punching. Azuma's been instructed to go more to the uppercut. This round, I think he's thrown more than the entire fight. Apparently, Billy Pravat sees something that we don't see because he has been trying to land that uppercut. Off his start, Danilo Cabrera was in danger of returning to the Mr. Nobody tag, but for the last 2 or 3 rounds, he's tried mightily hard to stave off.
A flash knockdown.
And not called, so he's in bad shape. Cabrera is in bad shape. There goes the mouthpiece.
Nelson trying to end it. The referee, Arias Torres, said no knockdown when Cabrera stumbled. Final seconds of the round.
And the referee should have given him an 8 count. He was hit solid, but he didn't.
Difficulty getting out of his corner as we open up in round 10.
They've been telling him, hold on to the champion, but he cannot. Cabrera has not the strength to hold off this very strong, determined Azuma Nelson. There go the uppercuts again. Azuma Nelson's very economic with his punches. Short, sharp, snapping punches.
Throwing the entire repertoire, uppercuts and right hand, looking to put Cabrera away.
Cabrera, who has been looking like a thoroughly outclassed and outmatched fighter, has the look of a man just determined to stay upright, but you know he's going down. Great deal of damage now on the face of Cabrera. He's bleeding from the mouth and from the eye. Torres, the Mexican referee, looking in closely, but he does not decide to stop it. Danilo fighting back with nothing. He has nothing on his punch.
Halfway point, round 10, scheduled for 12.
Nelson's corner screaming for them to stop it. I agree, there's no point continuing. But Torres has got more guts apparently than everybody said.
And Nelson with the right hand and then the left, putting Cabrera away. Getting the mandatory 8, he could easily stop it here, and he does. It's all over. Round 10.
Cabrera, a battered fighter, has no reflexes. That punch right there, that punch is not necessary. And neither were the preceding 20 or 30 directly landed punches by Azuma Nelson.
Now the